So the next thing that you can do to have an impact on climate change is to conserve electrical energy. Now this ties into everything we've talked about so far. So electricity has an embodied amount of water, in that when we generate electricity using thermal electric generation like coal and natural gas, we use an enormous amount of water to cool down the steam that's required to run the steam turbines. So there's the water argument. Water itself actually is considered to be a greenhouse gas, and even though it has a very short cycle time in the atmosphere, it will change how the atmosphere absorbs energy. We're also running into major water shortages, and so we're going to have to start changing the way that we cool these plants, or hopefully generate electricity, which will be a topic of a future video. So the best thing that you can do is start to conserve electrical energy. And so this is as simple as turning light switches off. I mean, I know this sounds so silly and you've been told this for 20 years, but it makes a difference. You can change your lights out in your house to LEDs. Everything's going to LEDs now. We're going to see the elimination of incandescence, maybe even some fluorescence. Another thing that you can do is stop using your clothing dryer. So we have a drying line for our clothes, and I personally find that clothes that are dried on the drying line smell better. They've had the benefit of being in sun, so they're sterile, and you don't have to spend any money on electricity. I can still understand as a parent like wanting to have an electrical dryer in the basement for convenience, because every once in a while you want to get something dried quickly, and so I get that. But a clothing line has probably the best ROI of any element that you can put on your house, because electricity is not cheap. And so heating or drying your clothes with the sun is free. The other thing you can do to reduce electrical energy is to turn your computers off at night. You know, computers consume anywhere from 60 to 300 watts of energy, and a lot of us just don't turn them off at night. I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes. But you'd be amazed if you take a 300 watt computer and you multiply that times 24 and you multiply that times 365 days in the year, it's actually a ton of electricity. Most people don't realize this about electricity, but most of our electricity is only about 20 to 30% thermally efficient, which means that if you burn 1 unit of coal energy to produce electricity, you're only going to get about 0.2 to 0.3 units of energy out of that coal. So that's an enormous amount of coal energy to waste just so that we can use electricity on demand. That's going to start changing as we start moving towards decentralized photovoltaics. But it's important to remember that every time you keep a light switch on, or you keep a computer on, or you're burning inefficient light bulbs, you're burning an enormous amount of coal or natural gas, if your grid is actually running off of that, in order to keep that thing going. So just be more conscientious about when you're using electricity, what devices you're keeping on, and as you get better at conserving energy, new opportunities will start to emerge that will make a lot more sense. So you can actually put a photovoltaic system on your roof to generate your own electricity. And so the best and cheapest form of energy generation is actually negawatts, so negative watts, basically turning off the power. It's the one that's going to have the best ROI. The next one is to either choose more efficient appliances or to just not use the appliances themselves, kind of like the dryer example that I gave before. Electricity, at least electricity generated in the traditional sense, produces an enormous amount of GHGs. If you don't believe in climate change, I mean, we know that coal dust has heavy metals in it. It causes lung cancer, it causes asthma, it creates air pollution. Natural gas is a lot cleaner, but it still does produce some pollutants as well. And so there's lots of other reasons to reduce the amount of electricity that we're using in our homes. In a future video, I'm going to talk about how to harvest your own electricity and some of my thoughts around solar photovoltaics and solar wind power and solar microhydro and all of those types of things. So thanks so much for joining. If you find this stuff interesting, check out our website at virginpermaculture.ca. Make sure you like the video below and subscribe if you like this channel. We also have a free introduction to permaculture that you can take right now. I'll put a link in the show notes below as well as in the final title card. Thanks so much. Have a great day.